In this video, you're going to learn my three-step approach to the pre-market session, which helps me know exactly what I'm looking for going into the open. Now, this is the approach that I use personally every day before I go into my live streams, and by the way, subscribe so you don't miss those. But it shouldn't take you any more than 10 or 15 minutes. I will do it every day, either just before 8:30 if we have high or medium impact news, or just before 9:30, around 9 a.m. So step one is going to be determining a daily bias and checking the calendar. Now the easy part, the calendar, is pretty simple. I just load up forexfactory.com and I will look on here for any high or medium impact news drivers that might come out that session. You can go more in depth into the economic calendar, looking for the big news drivers like NFP, CPI, FOMC, things like that. But to keep this pretty simple, I'm going to check today. Today's Wednesday and we have 10 a.m. high impact news. So I need to factor that into my analysis and my plan that there is going to be some volatility coming into the market about 10 a.m. And I'll filter this just to the USD currency. Since I'm trading the S&P and the Nasdaq futures, the USD news events is all I really need to care about. And then as far as daily bias, you want to determine some sort of daily bias in the pre-market, ideally every day. Obviously that's not realistic to be able to do it every day, but I will at least identify the key levels that I'm going to be looking at that day. So for example, today we have this daily fair value gap here. We do also have the low of this daily fair value gap, which could potentially play a factor. We have the wick from yesterday, which is a potential level to watch out for. And then based off the fact that we have respected this daily fair value gap yesterday, we wicked all the way down and shot straight back up and closed in the upper half. That is hinting to me that we are likely to see upwards expansion now for the rest of the week. Now, obviously, if we displace lower, that bias could shift, but for now, I will target the previous day's high. But all I'm really doing here is identifying key levels, and those can be daily fair value gaps, order blocks, wick levels if you want to use wicks, that are near price that day and could be reached for on the same day or the next couple of days. Now obviously you don't need to do this every morning, because if you do it one day it can just carry over into the next day, but this video wouldn't have really been done properly if I didn't include this bit. Obviously if I delete all this and unhide my drawings in this folder here, which I just have a folder called daily levels, so it keeps this all nice and clean, you can see that I had most of these levels and a few more already outlined. But now we're on to step two, which is going to be more focused on the previous day and the previous session. So now we've dropped onto an hourly, and I'll also drop down onto a 15-minute chart, but we're kind of just going to be doing the same thing that we did on the daily chart, but now on the hourly. We're going to identify key levels. So this fair value gap would be a key level here, and that's because it's the first discount array in this run up here. And then you can also look for some more liquidity levels. Obviously now we can see there's equal highs up here, and this is likely to be an important liquidity level here just because it was the point before this massive run down. So we have a lot of upside targets today. And while we're on this time frame, obviously you can do this on any time frame, but we may as well mark out the midnight open. And now dropping onto a 15-minute chart, one thing that I've noticed straight away is that I can refine this hourly imbalance here to this 15-minute one here. And this 15-minute chart is personally my most important chart for framing what is going to happen that day. Again, on this chart, I'm doing the same sort of thing, top-down analysis. I'm looking for the same sort of things, but I'm also thinking at the same time what happened in this previous overnight session. So during London, between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., we've expanded upwards. So there's two real things that I'll look for London to do, and that's either expand in a direction or consolidate. If it sits still and consolidates in a range, then that gives me the narrative that, okay, we might sweep the London liquidity, and then the move that I'm looking for might take place. If it's expanded like we have here, and not only is it expanded, but it's also had a stop run just below the midnight open. So you can see here, this sell side was taken, and then that became the start of this move up, and it also respected this fair value gap here on the way up. So then the narrative that I'm going to have, for at least for a trade that I will take, is I want to see this come lower into a discount, knock out some of this liquidity here, which I've just spotted, and ideally come into this discount PD array here, and then we can get a continuation, target the highs that are left behind, and potentially leave a runner on for the buy side that we identified on a higher time frame. Now step three is going to be going into the open. Now step three is kind of just bringing step one and step two together and forming a clear, this is what I'm expecting. If this doesn't happen, it's okay, obviously, because we're not perfect, we're going to get it wrong sometimes. But just saying to yourself, okay, this is what I'm expecting today. I want to see the price come lower and then reject up from here, and I'll look for my setup in this sort of area, ideally. And having that simple sort of, I'm looking for this, I'm anticipating this, it will just help you filter out a lot of trades that maybe you shouldn't be taking because you're too zoomed in to what's happening in price action. You forget what happened in the pre-market session and then you're just kind of trading blind. Now, it is the next day and I'm just getting ready to start streaming in the next 20 minutes, but I thought I would show you what happened yesterday. So this is that fair value gap I had outlined in the beginning of this video, and you can see We dived straight into it, and pretty weirdly enough, exactly what I had outlined, at least to take out this high, happened. Now, I didn't take a trade on ES, I did take this trade on NQ, and you can go check the stream for the proof of that. I can't be bothered to show you here. But there's your proof that this stuff does indeed work. It's not just a whole bunch of bullshit. But back to Brad from the past, I'm going to go get ready to do the stream for Thursday's session. But that is my short and sweet 3-step approach to the pre-market. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. And if you did, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. But that's all from me today. Now, YouTube should be recommending a video of mine that it thinks you'll like, and it should be popping up somewhere about there. And if you don't like that video, then there's probably a chance that I'm streaming right now if you're watching this just before the pre-market opens. So if I am, then come say hi in the stream, I guess. But if you're trading today, tomorrow, next week, then I will wish you good luck, good trading. Catch you later, boys.